KO Instruments CBA-1000 breaker load tester is a specialized tool designed to assess the condition of 15 amp and 20 amp circuit breakers. Positive reviews of the CBA-1000 highlight its accurate and reliable testing capabilities. It is considered easy to use and portable. Users report reduced callbacks due to the identification of faulty breakers. Negative reviews mention its high cost, around $1,000. Some users have experienced false positives on breakers with high instantaneous trip characteristics. There are also concerns about potentially damaging marginal backstubs or hidden connections. Market opportunities for the CBA-1000 exist for several groups. For electrical contractors, it can be used to verify breaker trip settings during inspections and troubleshooting, and to identify faulty breakers to reduce callbacks and liability. For electricians, it helps test breakers to ensure proper operation before installing or repairing circuits. Home inspectors can use it to assess the condition of electrical systems during inspections. Rental property owners can proactively identify and replace aging or faulty breakers to prevent potential electrical hazards. There are risks to consider when using the CBA-1000. The CBA-1000 applies a high load to breakers during testing. While unlikely, it is possible that it could damage marginal connections or backstubs. The tester applies a constant load, which can trigger false positives on breakers with high instantaneous trip characteristics. The CBA-1000 is not widely available and may be difficult to purchase in certain areas. When deciding whether to purchase this device, consider the potential benefits. If you encounter a high number of faulty breakers or troubleshooting challenges, the CBA-1000 could potentially save you time and money in the long run. Assess the risks carefully. Inspect connections and use caution when testing breakers with high instantaneous trip settings. Explore other options as well. There are other methods for testing breakers, such as using a clamp meter or megometer. Consider alternative approaches if you have concerns about damaging connections. Verify that the CBA-1000 is available in your area before making a purchase. The KO Instruments CBA-1000 breaker load tester is a specialized tool that can provide valuable insight into the condition of circuit breakers. While it is expensive and carries potential risks, it can also offer significant benefits for electrical contractors, electricians, home inspectors, and rental property owners. Carefully consider the potential benefits and risks before making a purchase. The CBA-1000 is designed for testing 15 amp and 20 amp branch circuit breakers. It applies a controlled load to the breaker to verify its trip time and current. This allows you to determine if the breaker is functioning within its specified parameters. A properly functioning breaker should trip within a certain time frame when subjected to an overload or short circuit. If a breaker is too slow to trip, or doesn't trip at all, it can create a dangerous situation, potentially leading to overheating and fire. Conversely, a breaker that trips too easily can cause nuisance tripping, interrupting power unnecessarily. The CBA-1000 can help identify both of these issues. The device typically plugs into a standard receptacle on the circuit being tested. It then applies a controlled load to the circuit breaker, simulating an overload condition. The device measures the time it takes for the breaker to trip and compares this to the manufacturer's specifications. The CBA-1000 can also be used to measure the actual current at which the breaker trips. This is important because breakers can degrade over time, and their trip current can drift outside of acceptable limits. The CBA-1000 offers several potential benefits. Firstly, it allows for more accurate testing of circuit breakers compared to simply observing whether they trip under normal load conditions. Secondly, it can help identify breakers that are nearing the end of their lifespan, allowing for proactive replacement before they fail completely. Thirdly, it can reduce callbacks by ensuring that breakers are functioning properly before energizing a circuit. However, it's important to be aware of the potential risks associated with using the CBA-1000. Firstly, applying a high load to a circuit can stress weak connections, potentially causing them to fail. This is particularly a concern with backstab connections, which are known to be less reliable than screw terminal connections. Secondly, some breakers have high instantaneous trip characteristics. This means that they are designed to trip very quickly under high fault current conditions. The CBA-1000 may trigger a false positive on these types of breakers, indicating that they are faulty when they are actually functioning correctly. Thirdly, the CBA-1000 is a relatively expensive tool and may not be cost-effective for all users. Before purchasing a CBA-1000, it's important to carefully consider your needs and the potential risks and benefits. If you frequently encounter faulty breakers, or if you need to perform detailed testing of circuit breakers, the CBA-1000 may be a worthwhile investment. However, if you only occasionally need to test breakers, or if you are concerned about the potential risks, you may want to consider alternative testing methods. One alternative method is to use a clamp meter to measure the current flowing through a circuit. This can help identify circuits that are overloaded or that have excessive current draw. Another alternative method is to use a megometer to test the insulation resistance of a circuit. This can help identify circuits with damaged insulation, which can be a fire hazard. If you decide to purchase a CBA-1000, it's important to use it properly and safely. Firstly, carefully inspect the receptacle that you are plugging the device into. Make sure that the receptacle is in good condition and that the wiring is properly connected. Secondly, start with a low load setting and gradually increase the load until the breaker trips. This will help minimize the stress on the circuit connections. Thirdly, be aware of the potential for false positives on breakers with high instantaneous trip characteristics. If you suspect that a breaker may be giving a false positive, try testing it multiple times. If the breaker consistently trips at a low current, it may be faulty. Fourthly, if you are concerned about damaging marginal connections, consider using a different testing method. The CBA-1000 is a valuable tool, but it's important to use it wisely and with caution. Always prioritize safety when working with electricity. Consider the accuracy of the CBA-1000. While the device is generally considered to be accurate, it's important to be aware that there can be some variation in the results. This can be due to factors such as the calibration of the device, the condition of the circuit breaker being tested, and the ambient temperature. To ensure the most accurate results, it's important to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. It's also a good idea to calibrate the device periodically. The CBA-1000 is a portable device, but it's important to handle it with care. The device contains sensitive electronic components that can be damaged by shock or vibration. When transporting the device, be sure to pack it securely in a padded case. Also, avoid exposing the device to extreme temperatures or humidity. These conditions can damage the device and affect its accuracy. Think about the learning curve associated with the CBA-1000. While the device is generally considered to be easy to use, it's important to take the time to learn how to use it properly. This will help you avoid making mistakes that could damage the device or lead to inaccurate results. The manufacturer provides detailed instructions on how to use the device. It's also a good idea to watch some online tutorials or attend a training course. This will help you get the most out of the CBA-1000. Assess the long-term maintenance. Like any electronic device, the CBA-1000 requires some maintenance to keep it in good working order. The device should be cleaned regularly with a soft, dry cloth. Avoid using harsh chemicals or solvents, as these can damage the device. The device should also be stored in a clean, dry place. If the device is not going to be used for an extended period of time, it's a good idea to remove the batteries. This will help prevent corrosion. If the device malfunctions, it should be repaired by a qualified technician. Attempting to repair the device yourself could void the warranty and could also be dangerous. Remember to consider the support and warranty provided by KO Instruments. Before purchasing a CBA-1000, it's important to check the warranty offered by the manufacturer. This will protect you in case the device malfunctions or has any defect. It's also a good idea to check the availability of technical support. This can be helpful if you have any questions about how to use the device or if you encounter any problems. KO Instruments is a reputable company and they typically provide good support for their products. However, it's always a good idea to check before you buy. Also, think about the alternative testing methods. As mentioned earlier, there are other methods for testing circuit breakers. These methods may be less expensive or less risky than using the CBA-1000. One alternative method is to use a clamp meter to measure the current flowing through a circuit. This can help identify circuits that are overloaded or that have excessive current draw. Another alternative method is to use a micrometer to test the insulation resistance of a circuit. This can help identify circuits with damaged insulation, which can be a fire hazard. Before purchasing a CBA-1000, it's important to consider whether these alternative methods would be sufficient for your needs. If you only occasionally need to test breakers, or if you are concerned about the potential risks of using the CBA-1000, these alternative methods may be a better option. Also, remember the importance of electrical safety. Working with electricity can be dangerous. It's important to take precautions to protect yourself from electric shock. Always turn off the power to a circuit before working on it. Use insulated tools and wear appropriate safety gear. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician. Electrical safety is not something to take lightly. The CBA-1000 is a valuable tool, but it's important to use it safely and responsibly. Make sure you follow all safety precautions when working with electricity. In summary, the KO Instruments CBA-1000 breaker load tester can be a valuable tool for electrical contractors, electricians, home inspectors, and rental property owners. It provides accurate and reliable testing of 15 amp and 20 amp circuit breakers. It can help reduce callbacks, identify faulty breakers, and prevent potential electrical hazards. However, it is expensive and carries potential risks. It can trigger false positives on breakers with high instantaneous trip characteristics, and it can potentially damage marginal connections or backstops. Before purchasing a CBA-1000, carefully consider your needs, the potential risks and benefits, and the availability of alternative testing methods. Also, be sure to follow all safety precautions when working with electricity.